What's up everyone, KingKrabz back again today with another Monotype showcase. So today I'm playing a very highly requested type and a very popular type, Mono Dragon. Now Dragon wouldn't be my personal favourite type, but it's still a very fun type to play, and I want to show it off to the best of my ability. So with that, let's jump into the team. First off we have Garchomp, and Garchomp is going to be my Lumberry Garchomp. It's going to kind of eat up status effects like potentially burns or toxic. A lot of the time that's how people deal with Garchomp. They try and status it and then wear it away. But thanks to Lumberry, it can survive one status effect, guaranteed. And then with that, we can potentially Swords Dance in their face. Now after we have Swords Dance, we can use the famously unreliable Scale Shot, which is great for breaking sashes, sturdies, subs, all those kind of great things to break because it's a multi-hit move. As well as that, it also increases my speed of stage, which is kind of like Dragon Dance in a way because it lets me get the attack boost from Swords Dance and the speed boost from Scale Shot. Now unfortunately, it does lower my defense, making me more weak to priority, but that's just something you have to play around. Other than that, we have Fire Fang, which is great for taking care of steel types, especially Ferrothorn and Celesteela, which really give my team trouble, so it's important to have those. And finally Earthquake, again for steel types, but in general it's just very strong stab. Stat-wise, we are max attack, max speed Jolly, and the reason for that is we hit very good levels of speed after 1 or 2 scale shots, and my attack is already pretty high and boosted even further with Swords Dance. Next up we have Hydreigon, and Hydreigon's going to be a sub-nasty plot, and the reason I went for sub-nasty plot is it's kind of my other method of soaking up status effects. So overall, Dragon is kind of a more aggressive playstyle and doesn't particularly like stall or status effects and stuff. So with that, Hydreigon can easily eat them up with Substitute. Say I come in on a Toxapex who wants to try and burn me with Scald or Toxic me, I can click sub that turn, suddenly their turn is essentially wasted. Now on that, I can click Nasty Plot, which boosts Hydreigon's special attack to even dizzyingly higher levels. It's 349 usually, which goes to just shy of 700 after one Nasty Plot, which is really high. Its speed tier is also decent. It's not perfect, but it's good enough to outspeed a lot of threats in the tier. We have Dark Pulse, which is in general just a fantastic coverage move. It's also Stab, can potentially flinch, which pairs nicely with Hydreigon's decent speed. And finally Flash Cannon, which is super important for Ice types and Fairy types, which naturally my team struggles a lot with. And finally we have Leftovers. For longevity, especially behind Substitute, it allows me to scout things or substitute even more in front of potentially stall or walls. Next up we have Dragonite, and Dragonite's max attack adamant with max HP. And the reason for this is with heavy DD boots and multiscale, it can pretty much live most attacks in the game that are unboosted. It can live Specs Lele, it can live even some ice moves, which is super fantastic, and with that we can potentially get a revenge KO with things like Iron Head, which is super good against those aforementioned Ice and Fairy types, which again give my team a lot of trouble, especially Fairy type. This team is just not built for Fairy, and I've accepted that. Next up we have Extreme Speed, which is a fantastic priority move. It's base 80, it's also high priority, which means I can usually take care of other priority opponents, or opponents who are weakened. Maybe they live, for example, with a Sash or with Sturdy. Extreme Speed can generally finish them off afterwards. Next up we have Dragon Claw, and Dragon Claw is just generally good stab. It's good against the Dragon versus Dragon matchup, especially against maybe Scarf Outragers or Scarf Draco Meteors. Dragonite again can typically live a hit and KO with Dragon Claw. And finally we have Defog, which is good team support because my team overall doesn't particularly like hazards, and I'm actually not running hazards myself. As you see, my Garchomp doesn't have rocks, so hopefully that won't go against me. It did pretty well in testing, so we'll see. Next up we have Dragapult. Dragapult is going to be my Dragon Dance setter. So if I can get this thing in against certain Pokemon who can't 1-hit KO Dragapult, I can potentially then go for a sweep. On top of that, Infiltrator is fantastic because it breaks through substitutes, which is really good against some stall or maybe like bulky offensive Pokemon. On top of that, Phantom Force also goes through Protect, which is really good for some annoying like sub-protect builds like maybe King's Shield, Aegislash, or even Celesteela. Sometimes run Substitute, but they almost always run Protect. So Phantom Force is fantastic for breaking that. We also have Sucker Punch for priority, which again is super good for finishing off weakened opponents, especially if they live with Sash or Sturdy, for example, which definitely is trouble for my team. And finally Dragon Darts, which is another good multi-hit move. Again, you hear me say this so much, it breaks through Sash and Sturdy and substitutes, which is super important, especially because I do have Infiltrator, which makes it all the more potent. We have Leftovers as well because generally Dragapult can survive a weaker attack, especially if it's not statused. For example, something like Lava Plume or Scald, it can stay in, and if assuming it's not burnt, it can generally commence a reverse sweep. Stat-wise, we're max attack, max speed, adamant. I didn't go for a plus speed nature because I feel that speed is plenty good as it is, and its attack is also plenty good as it is. But more attack is always nice in my opinion, especially when you have the likes of Infiltrator to absolutely destroy bulky offensive teams. Next up we have Latias, and Latias is going to be my kind of specially defensive Pokemon on the team. She is max special defense, max HP, so you can see her special defense is pretty fantastic. With absolutely no investment, her special attack and speed are pretty fantastic, and this is boosted even further with Calm Mind and Agility. So after an Agility, I can potentially Calm Mind, especially in special attackers' faces, and we do get passive recovery from something like Leftovers, which is super good, and then my stored power gets to crazy high levels of power. On top of that, it's also Stab, so after a couple of boosts, stored power can again potentially 6-0 my opponent, which is kind of the name of this team. It's a very setup heavy dragon team, but I do think it's quite fun. Next up we have Aura Sphere for dealing with those steel types, or dealing with the dark types in the meta. So some people like to run weakness policy with Recover over Aura Sphere. It's pretty good. Personally, I prefer Leftovers. It gives me longevity, and Aura Sphere is a nice option for dealing with dark types. Otherwise, Latias is just completely useless against the Mono Dark team, which I'm not a personal fan of. And last but not least, we have Dracovish. So Dracovish has pretty unimpressive stats to begin with, if you look at them. So you might be thinking, why is Dracovish so important? Well, for those of you who ever fought Dracovish knows that Vicious Rend is probably one of the stupidest moves in the game. So it's 85 base power, and the power doubles if the target moves before the target. If the user moves before the target, my apologies. So already, that's a crazy levels of power, but on top of that, it's technically a bite move, which means it's powered by Strong Jaw, so it's powered by a further 1.5 times, which makes it crazy good. So with Choice Scarf, this thing pretty much eats up anything in the tier that's not named Ferrothorn or Toxapex, and with that, the team actually has plenty of team support to potentially deal with those threats as well, especially in the likes of Garchomp and Hydreigon. Next up we have Outrage, and Outrage is pretty good for just cleaning through the end of a mono Dragon Ditto, especially if my opponent's Choice Scarfers are dead. Outrage can generally pick up 2 or 3 KOs. It's also pretty good against teams that maybe have a Water Absorber, which for a lot of like ground teams for example, is the only answer to deal with Dracovish. Next up we have Crunch, and Crunch is pretty good for those like Slowbro for example, and potentially Slowking as well, which are pretty much the only 2 reasons I'd ever use Crunch over Vicious Rend, but they're pretty decent to have, or in the off chance I need to fish for a defense drop for example. And finally we have Psychic Fangs, which is pretty good against Mono Fairy and Mono Ice, and the reason for that is both of those types typically rely on screens, either through Grimmsnarl or Aurora Veil on Ninetales, so it's nice to have an option to break those. Now before we jump into some games, I want to ask you a question. I would like you to comment down below, who's your favourite dragon type Pokemon? Personally, I think mine is Garchomp, and with that, we'll pause and be right back. So we have a game here, and unfortunately it's against Mono Dragon, which is obviously a very tough matchup. So a lot of the time it's the first person to set up their Dragapult wins, or the first person to Dragon Dance kind of wins. So this is going to be kind of scary for me. I think I might open up with my Garchomp and try Scale Shot turn 1. As they open with Latios. Now I'm assuming they're going to go ahead and Draco Meteor me here, so who's my most expendable member? Probably Hydreigon. And the reason I'm doing this is I can potentially live. Okay, they actually go into their own Garchomp. Great play. Probably going to go for the Scale Shot here, and if it hits a lot of times, it's probably curtains for me. Okay, that's not good. So I think I kind of have to rely on a Scale Shot miss here, or them hitting only like 2 times. 3 times? I should live. Come on, Scale Shot. It's never this reliable when I use it. I mean, I guess we play off the miss. I could have gone into Dragonite. It happens. I swear. Scale Shot has never been this lucky for me in my life. I mean, I'll live this unless it hits like 5 times, which it could. Okay. No worries. Well, I guess I'll just click my X there and give them the first game. And that's Mono Dragon for you. And with that, we'll be So we have a game here against one of Dragon's worst matchups in my opinion, Mono Steel. It's a very annoying matchup, though I do think my Dracovish kind of goes in hard here. So I'm actually going to open up with that and just click Vicious Rend turn 1. If they do open up with their Aegislash, it's probably sub-toxic King Shield as they open up Exca. I mean, I'm completely okay to break this thing Sash. Rock Tomb. Okay, I'm slower now. They might go for Stealth Rocks here, as they go for an Earthquake. I think a part of me just wants to Fire Fang here, in case they go into Steela, trying to keep their Exca alive, which is exactly what they do, which is pretty good for me. That's not bad. Are they Air Balloon on Heatran? I'll Fire Fang again. I need as much damage on Steela as possible, as they are Autotomize, and they're probably Power Herb. So I'm going to go into Latias, who should be able to easily tank, as it's quite tanky. Oh, they're Life Orb, interesting. I'll Agility here. They probably taken their Aegislash. They're taking Melmetal. Okay. I mean, I think I just value damage on this, to be honest. That was okay, Chip. Something was dying to double Iron Bash anyway, and this way I can get in Garchomp and click EQ. If they are Air Balloon Heatran, it's pretty bad for me. If they're not, I should be able to work around with Vicious Rend and Dracovish after Melmetal goes down. Aegislash is annoying too, but I think Hydreigon is pretty good against it. They go for Protect. Okay, I'll just EQ again. They get a small bit back, as they are actually Balloon on Aegislash. Interesting. A part of me wants to SD here on the King Shields, but I'll go straight for a Fire Fang. I hope I don't regret getting that killed. Oh, I actually survive. That's crazy. So they probably go for a Shadow Sneak here. I think my play is to go into Hydreigon, which lets me click Dark Pulse in their face. Now the question is, do they run King Shield? I'll Scout with Sub just in case. No, they go straight for Close Combat. Okay, I'll click Dark Pulse for the KO. Now unfortunately, Bisharp is a huge threat to me as they go into Melmetal. I mean, I think I'd rather Hydreigon die here and just get back in my Garchomp and pick up a KO with EQ. Again, assuming they're not Air Balloon on Heatran, which I'm guessing they're not considering the fact they were Air Balloon on Aegislash and they have a Celesteela. They give me Exca. Now they've probably taken Bisharp. Taking Heatran. Are you Scarfed? I'm calling this thing's bluff. This isn't Scarfed. Oh, it is Scarfed and it doesn't even KO. That's fantastic for me, as they end up forfeiting, and with that we will be... So we have another game against Mono Steel. They are running a slightly different team here. I still think my Garchomp goes in hard, as does my Hydreigon. So I think... No, I was going to open up a Hydreigon, but they probably open up a Cobalion. So I think I open up a Chomp. Chomp is very strong, so I don't want it to take too much damage. It's my best answer to the things like Ferrothorn, who can otherwise kind of completely wall out my team. They open up a Melmetal. Now, if this is Choice Band, it is bad news for me. I'm going to click EQ, as they double Iron Bash, and I'm pretty sure that's Choice Band, because that did so much damage. Okay, I think I have to rely on Lati and Hydreigon to take care of likes of Ferrothorn. What do I go here? I think I go into Pult and just click Darts. I kind of want to click Phantom Force, but that doesn't even kill. Oh my... Okay, that was a horrendous play on my part. Really, really bad. Because if I take in Hydreigon, it lets them take in Cobalion, I think, for free, which I don't want. I'll take in Vish. I'll just Crunch on Ferrothorn coming in. That did 0 damage. We're going to go into Hydreigon here, in case they try and get at the rocks. They knock me off, which is not good. As Cobalion comes in here and gets the justified boost. Okay, this is really bad for me. I think I have to set up on Latias and hope to win that way. But that's looking quite unlikely, especially with Celesteela being such a threat to my team. So I probably should have straight up Phantom Forced. This thing is a problem for me. I might actually be willing to sack my Dracovish and just get as much damage as possible on the Ferrothorn. Are they Protect? They're definitely Protect with Leech Seed and Rocky Helm. Oh, as they actually give me a ton of damage on Ferrothorn. So this is pretty good because I can go into Hydreigon now and hide behind my sub. Though they can take in Cobalion for free actually, so it really doesn't mean anything. Okay, I got some chip, and now I'm going to have to go for a crazy Latias sweep, which is looking quite unlikely, but not impossible. If I can get a few Calm Minds off, I think it's actually very possible, but it is still difficult. So they end up Volt Switching out into their Melmetal. I'm just going to Aura Sphere this immediately. I'm not messing around with that anymore. Not after my Dragapult did 0 damage to it. Now, I could get lucky. Are they toxic? I think I just set up a ton. This is going to be super annoying to take care of. It's just a Protect Seed. I'll Calm Mind again on the Protect, I think. Actually, I think I'll just click Stored Power here. It's plenty strong. Oh my, that is strong. Could this be the sweep we're looking for? Now, X-Guy is probably Sash. Well, they said GG, so it's possibly over. Nice. So, Lati actually managed to clean through that team, despite me playing awful, so I got rewarded for some pretty bad plays there. And with that, we'll pause. So here we have a game against Mono Ice. This is very scary for me, especially if Weavile is Choice Scarf. But as well as that, Sandslash Alola in the Hail is quite scary for my team. I think Latias, again, is a huge bonus for me here. And I kind of wanted to set up early and start sweeping. I'm going to open up a Dracovish here, as they open up Ninetales, and this kind of forces in their Avalugg. Otherwise, they'll potentially lose their Veil Setter and their Hail Setter, which is very, very bad for them. Oh, as they actually give it to me. So that's pretty decent, as Alolan Sandslash comes in. I think I'll live a hit from you. Maybe. Thankfully they only hit twice, but the crit did hurt me a lot, and I ended up critting them back, which is actually really good. Now they do die to their own Life Orb chip next turn, so the question is what Pokemon do I value the least on my team right now? I feel like I value Hydreigon to take care of Avalugg. I guess I kinda don't value Garchomp that much, but no, actually I do for Rough Skin chip on something like Weavile. And I definitely value this still. Or actually, do I? Yeah, I do. I guess I'll sack my Dragonite. Because they died to Life Orb chip here, as they actually end up missing, which is really unfortunate for them. Which lets me just click Extreme Speed here, and pick up a KO. Or do I actually value? Because if this lives, it allows in something like Kyurem. That's okay. So my opponent is getting pretty unlucky, I will admit. For real, it does. Triple Axel is honestly one of the worst moves ever, I hate it. It has never worked. It's as unreliable as Scale Shot. So they Draco there, which is pretty good for me. Now why that's good for me is their special attack is lowered, which means I can potentially set up with my Latias or Dragapult. Out of curiosity, does Dragapult live? Probably not. I'm going to go ahead and assume this is Specs. Draco Meteor -2, absolutely no way does that live. So we'll take in my Latias and click Agility here. Mamoswine comes in. I'll click Aura Sphere. I think I died to a Shard. Sorry, a crash even. Well, they got a crit. So I'm getting super lucky against my opponent. Which is unfortunate for them. We'll click Rend here. I'm not sure if the crit mattered because Rend would have KO'd anyway, I believe. Is that v.II Scarf? They click Ice Shard, which is pretty valuable information for me. It's a speed type with Dragapult, but Dragapult's not very good here. Hydreigon definitely dies. Unfortunately, this is Life Orb, so there's no way I survive. Unless, of course, the infamous unreliability strikes again. Come on, Triple Axel. No. It worked out for my opponent that time, which is completely reasonable. So I think I have to go for a speed tie here with darts. Which is probably what I should have done in the first place. GG. So well deserved my opponent's side. It was a hard matchup for me, but RNG was really messing them up, so I'm completely okay taking the loss. Unfortunately, there's no way I can kill Avalugg here. I can probably KO Kyurem with Scale Shot. As of course, Scale Shot doesn't even do that for me. But that's okay. There was no way I was taking care of Avalugg anyway. And with that, we'll pause and be right back. So we have a game here against Mono Ground. Now in this game, Mamoswine is obviously a huge issue for me. As well as Nidoking. Because it definitely runs Ice Beam. Garchomp is kind of scary too. We do love my Dracovish in this game. And I think a lot of the game is going to be me using Dracovish to force uncomfortable positions and force them into Seismitoad. So we're actually going to open up a Dracovish, as they open up Mamoswine. I think I want to swap into Hydreigon here, as they go into Seismitoad. And this lets me get up a sub in their face, potentially. Depending on their set, that is. As I resist their stab, / immune to their stab. So hopefully I can just click sub here. As they get rocks down. Up, Dark Pulse here. They shouldn't give me too much damage on Seismitoad, as it really hurts their team, as it's their only swap into my Dracovish. I mean, I'll take damage on Lando. They probably U-turn here and break my sash, my sub. As I actually end up getting a high roll on the second one, which is really good for me. So this is exactly the position I wanted, forcing my opponent into uncomfortable positions. Now unfortunately they can Scale Shot me here, as they actually click Outrage. Interesting. The question is, who do I value the least on the team? I kind of feel like it's Latias. But if it sets up, it does so much damage, so maybe I do actually value that. I guess I value Pult the least, as I don't see a position where I'm able to Dragon Dance in their face in this game. They're confused. Now the question is, are they Choice Scarf? The answer is probably yes. So I'll take a Dragonite here and click Claw. I should live an Outrage easily, thanks to Multiscale. As they give me so much damage in Nidoking, thanks to the crit, which is really unfortunate for them. Because now I kill with Extreme Speed. They go into Exca as leftovers. I'll go to Chomp here. I should live a single hit, unless they Rapid Spin, which is a very good play. They Iron Head. This lets me click EQ. And get a chunk of damage off on something. And again, this opens up something like Dracovish so much in the end game. It even opens up my Outrage a bit now. Mamoswine comes in. This is pretty much guaranteed a KO. I'll just click Quake. I think I value Dragonite for Garchomp, so I'll take a Hydreigon here. Click Flash Cannon. I believe I live a single shard. That did so much damage. Is that banded? Okay, that puts it in range of Extreme Speed, which is really good for me. So I can just take in this and click Extreme Speed. Their best play is probably to go into Chomp here. I think Outrage is opened up in the endgame. They're taking Toad. I think I'll take a Latias. And I'll click Calm Mind here. Actually, I click agility, I think. Ooh, as they knock and do tons of damage. I'll Calm Mind once. I think I just need Chip here on the Seismitoad with stored power to put it in range of potentially an endgame of clicking Extreme Speed and Outrage. They gave me Mamo, which is fantastic for me, probably expecting me to Calm Mind again. But all I wanted to do in that position was get a bit of Chip on the Seismitoad to open up Outrage in the endgame. Now, I'm pretty sure Outrage KOs this. It's a 120 base stab. Granted, Dracovich's attack stat isn't the best. If not, I can always go into Dragonite and click Claw, which will KO Garchomp. Though the question is, will I outspeed the Toad? And I only will if it's min speed, and I feel like a lot of grounds run min speed. Nice. So if this is Choice Scarf, unless it crits, Dragonite should survive. It is indeed Choice Scarf. And Dragonite should survive one, and Claw should Revenge KO. Again, assuming it doesn't crit. GG. So pretty close game there. I think I played it well in the end game, and with that we'll pause and be right back. So we have a game here against Mono Fire. In general, it's a pretty tough matchup for Mono Fire to beat Mono Dragon, but I won't leave my guard down because you never know what kind of tricks Mono Fire's running. Now with that, I think I actually open up my Hydreigon, as they probably open up Torkoal, which lets me hide behind a sub-turn 1 and prevent them from yawning. Now they might go into Incineroar, which is okay with me. They yawn turn 1. I think I plot here, at the end of forfeiting. Okay, I mean that's a quick game, and with that we'll be right back. So we have another game against Mono Steel, which seems to be a popular type on the ladder at the moment. Again, in this game I value Hydreigon a lot, as well as Garchomp. The Corviknight's pretty difficult for me to deal with, but I think I open up a Dracovich, as Vicious Rend does a lot of damage to anything turn 1. Now they might be sturdy, which is okay with me, as they actually survive anyway. That's crazy. I'll just click Vicious Rend again, as they don't have any swap-ins to this. Anything coming in takes a lot of damage, or potentially gets KO'd. Thus is the wonderful assets of not thinking and using Dracovich. So I think once their Corvi is dead, my Garchomp goes in pretty hard in this game. Jirachi can be an issue for me too, especially because I don't know what set it's running. If it's shiny, I have to worry about Moonblast. It's not shiny, so I'm less concerned about Moonblast. And I'm going to go to Chomp here, assuming this is Choice Scarf. I'll SD in their face, because they probably go into Corvi here. They can't T-Wave me, and if they're Choice Locked to Stealth Rock. Otherwise, I outspeed them, so they can't flinch me. Air Balloon Heatran would have been the biggest threat to my team there. I'll Fire Fang. It probably won't KO, but it should do a lot of damage. That was decently strong. Oh, they're an Iron Defense. Okay, this is not good for me. I think I SD again. Or do I go for the burn / flinch? I'll SD again. Because they're forced to roost that turn. And I'll Fire Fang here. It puts them under a bit of pressure because I can potentially burn them. Unfortunately, their body press is going to do a lot of damage to me. A burn or flinch here would be fantastic, or even a crit. So there's a lot of RNG that can go in my favour. But unfortunately, I am relying heavily on RNG here to work in my favour, as I actually get the burn. Which is unfortunate for my opponent, but that is something you run the risk of when playing defensively. When playing defensively, you always run the risk of RNG going against your favour. I can probably stall out its roosts, because it's not... it's not pressure, which is unusual for an Iron Defense, I think. Well, it does allow damage, actually. Though Rough Skin really pressures them. As long as I can keep their HP low, I think Dark Pulse on Hydreigon should be able to do a good chunk of damage. But this thing is definitely a threat to my team. because it can constantly roost and get most of its health back. I mean, a flinch here or a crit would be so good for me. Flinch? No flinch, unfortunately. Wait, can I just set up with my Dragapult? Is Body Press their only attacking move? I mean, if so, Phantom Force goes pretty hard in the endgame. I probably should have identified that earlier. Again, they're running the risk of potentially getting flinched here. Their burn already is fantastic, because if their last move is Brave Bird, it shouldn't do too much damage against my Dragapult. Okay, I'll take Impulse here and Dance. Aegislash is definitely the biggest threat to my team, but I can click Phantom Force. And if they're Brave Bird, I should have a couple of opportunities to Dance. They go into Heatran. I'll Phantom Force here. They might be like Toxic Protect or something. Are they Plume? Trying to burn me. However, thankfully I identified that it looks like that Corviknight is nothing against my Dragapult. So perhaps its last move is Defog. Which is one reason I'm not a fan of Iron Defense Corvi. That did so much damage. Please don't burn. Ah, that's very unfortunate. That really sucks for me. I guess I can Dance again. As they hide behind a sub. I'm Infiltrator, so I don't care. I'll Phantom Force here. That burn really sucks for me. I think it probably would have been a sweep at Palt otherwise, but we can still work around this. I don't care that they're sub, and if they protect, Phantom Force breaks that. So this should potentially KO. Yeah, I think so. Even though I'm burned because I'm +1 over I was last time, I'm +2 now. Nice. Now, Sneak on Aegislash is definitely threatening to my team. But Dracovish is opened up a bit in the endgame, especially with the burn on Corviknight. Do I live a Sneak? I might just about. I think I live a Sneak. And Phantom Force should KO. Again, it goes through the King Shield. Because I believe Phantom Force is not blockable. Which definitely makes it pretty good. I do think Dragapult would be way, way better with something like Poltergeist. But, I mean, Phantom Force is pretty good too. They sub. I mean, we know already this goes through it. Thanks to Infiltrator. And if they King Shield here, it does nothing. It doesn't KO, unfortunately. And they get the Shadow Ball KO, which sucks for me. I mean, this does open up my Hydreigon a lot to click sub in their face. Because they're sub-toxic, I believe. Sub-toxic King Shield. I'll plot. The reason I'm plotting is so Dark Pulse would KO Corviknight. And Jirachi we already know is not Choice Scarf. I mean, that will not break my sub. I'd be surprised if it even 2-hit KOs my sub. So I'm definitely in a healthy position. Okay, it does actually 2-hit KO my sub. But I'm still in a healthy position here, where I can pretty much slow up as much as I want. And keep spamming Dark Pulse. As they end up forfeiting. So my plan here was to sub here. If they went into Excadrill, they could potentially break. But then I think between my Dracovish and Latias, I would have won the endgame. So I'm going to pause there and be right back. So we have another game against Monosteel, which is just crazy how popular this type is on the ladder at the moment. Again, I think Hydreigon is super good here, as well as Garchomp. I think I'm going to open up a Dracovish. And the reason I want to open up a Dracovish is to kind of force in Ferrothorn, and then potentially get Hydreigon in on Ferrothorn. As they might try Rocks here, they Power Whip. That doesn't do too much, and lets me sub here. Which again puts them in a kind of an uncomfortable position. Now if they go into Melmetal, it's a great play. Or is they Body Press? Okay. That's an interesting Ferrothorn. We'll go Chomp here. I can at least punish them for attacking me. That does so much damage. I'll SD in their face. So that is doing so much. As they seed. A part of me wants to click Earthquake here. I'm going to try to click Fire Fang. And hope they stay in. And we get the KO, which is so nice for me. So that's why I run Fire Fang on Garchomp. After the SD, it's quite strong on things like Ferrothorn. They go into Exca. This is either Choice Scarf or Focus Sash. I'll EQ. They're Choice Scarf, which means I can play off what they did. I don't think Dracovish dies. There's no way Dracovish dies to a Choice Scarf Excadrill. Choice Scarf, Earthquake, 52 to 61. How much does Vicious Rend do? And is that attacking first or after? I'm going to assume that's attacking after. It's still 127.5 base. So something is taking a ton of damage here. And we know to keep my Dragapult healthy for things like Corviknight in case it's the Iron Defense. That did so much damage. So we'll simply claim my KO here. I definitely want to keep Dracovish healthy. Aegislash is annoying for my team, but I can probably work around it. Melmetal is probably a bigger threat as they take an EG here. I feel like my Dragonite's expendable. I'll click Vicious Rend anyway. That still did so much damage. And Shadow Ball didn't even KO, as they are Life Orb. Okay, so in this position, I'm going to go to Dragonite here. And have them faint. Now, unfortunately, my Dragonite doesn't do in much. It forces in Melmetal. Okay, I'll Claw for like 2 damage. Please don't be like sub-bulk up or something. They Ice Punch. Very scary for my team. There's no way Dracovish kills this. Melmetal is so bulky. We'll call it this. So it does 56 to 66. So if I can chip it a bit more with Hydreigon, with Dark Pulse. Nice. So now it's in range of Dracovish's Vicious Rend. And they probably have to go into Exca here. So this is looking pretty decent for me. I think I sacked Dracovish. Let me check. Dragapult versus Excadrill, Choice Scarf. EQ does 67 to 79. How much does Phantom Force do? At +1. It is a 75% chance of an OHKO. Okay. I think we have to take that. So we take Impult here. Click Dance. We go off this not critting and Phantom Force KOing. %75% is pretty good. And then I believe my Latias should be able to take care of Heatran. Yes, we got the roll. Excellent. And I think I Phantom Force here again straight on the Heatran. It's Balloon. Which means my Latias should be able to take care of it afterwards with an Aura Sphere. As they're running Dragon Pulse. That's super cool. That did a decent chunk. And I think Aura Sphere just KOs here. I mean, unless they're max speed. No, it's Aura Sphere. It KOs. GG. So with that, we'll pause and be right back. So we have yet another game against Mono Steel, and I think I fought this person earlier. So again, Latias is so strong in this game. To be able to click Aura Sphere in the end game. I think I'm going to open up with my Hydreigon turn 1 as they open up Melmetal. That pretty much says to me, give me a KO. So I'm going to give them, I think Dragonite. As Dragonite's kind of useless against Steel types. This Dragonite anyway is not running any Fire or Steel moves. As they go into their Cobalion. Interesting play. I think I'll just Dragon Claw this for chip. I mean, it doesn't do much at all. I guess my want to do here is sack my Dragonite. and get in something stronger. As they double Iron Bash. As expected, it KOs me. I could take in Dracovish, which to them should force in Ferrothorn, and on that I can take in my Garchomp, hopefully. Nice. And now I can SD in their face. As they go back into Steela, I'll Fire Fan. It does a decent bit of damage, and they miss their Leech Seed, which is super unfortunate for them. I just Fire Fang here again, I think. I mean, hopefully the roll works in my favour. It did 56 last time. They go into Heatran. It is not Air Balloon. I'll click Earthquake. Is it Choice Scarf? I think this is a Choice Scarf Heatran. Either way, it's not too threatening to me, as there's not much Heatran can do to threaten Garchomp. Celesteela comes back in. Now they probably protect turn 1. As they don't, they actually go straight for a Seed, which is a good play. I think I'll Sword Dance again on the protect. And now Fire Fang just picks up a KO. Clean. They give me Cobalion, which is super good for my Hydreigon, and they end up forfeiting. And with that, we will pause and be right back. So we have a game against Mono Psychic, which is somewhat refreshing to not see a Mono Steel team. Slowbro here is kind of threatening for me, though I do love my Hydreigon, especially if I can play it around the Tapu Lele. Again, Tapu Lele is very scary for me. I think Dragapult is pretty good here too. I'm going to actually open up with my Latias and try click Calm Mind turn 1. They knock off, and that does a ton of damage. Ouch. I'll Agility here. So my Dragonite is the best play against Tapu Lele. Which is what I take in now, because I feel like they'll go Tapu Lele. And thanks to Multiscale, I will live 1 Moonblast. And Iron Head should do a chunk of damage back. They should be quite worried about Dragapult. I click Iron Head here. I should live. And I think it KOs. This is max attack Adamant. That's Scarf. Ooh, it actually lives. That's really, really bad for me. Huh. Is that just game? No, I think I have to play around the Psychic terrain by sacking a ton of things. So if it's Choice Scarf, does it actually... I don't think it KOs Garchomp. We'll click Earthquake here. I want to click Scale Shot so bad and Latios coming in, but it's a crazy play. Okay, it kills. Unfortunate. I'll Crunch, in case Slowbro comes in. That actually does a surprising amount of damage. Wait, is that Specs? Let's check. Tapu Lele. Choice Specs. Tapu Lele. Choice Scarf. It could really be either. I Sucker Punch here. And the reason for that is if they stay in, they die. If they swap out, they potentially give me a chance to set up my Dragon Dance. Which is really good for me. As Phantom Force goes in hard in the endgame. Ideally they go into Slowbro here. They go into Latios. Huh. I think I have to go off this being Draco Meteor. And me surviving 1. And then Dragon Dancing in their face. And then I think I spam Phantom Force, potentially for game. They go into Slowbro. I'll Phantom Force here. If they're Choice Scarf, I now outspeed Latios, which is super good for me. They slack off. Please don't Scald Burn me. That would be awful for me. Oh, the Ice Beam. That did so much damage. I think I Darts here. And the reason I Darts is it doesn't make contact. It will still KO Slowbro. And I get a bit of leftover chip and they can't recover with Slack Off. Also, if they swap out, they still take a ton of damage. Okay, they give me Latios, which is pretty good. The question is, do Victini and Jirachi die? I feel like yes, they do. I'll Phantom Force here. This is +1 stab, super effective. It's very, very strong. If it did that much to Slowbro, who's extremely physically defensive, I think it KOs Jirachi and Victini. And even if they are Choice Scarf, I outspeed. If they're sub, I live. So they have to be a Sash. And they end up actually forfeiting. And with that, I will pause and be right. So that is going to be it from Mono Dragon for today. Overall, it personally wouldn't be my favorite type, but I could completely understand why it's a popular type. Its high BST, high power attacks, and generally aggressive playstyle is quite fun. Overall, I wish I did fight more variety than just Mono Steel. We had a couple of other matchups sprinkled in there, but there was a lot of Mono Steel in the ladder today. Which isn't surprising, given the fact Steel is such a potent type. Either way, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed playing it, and with that, I hope you have a fantastic day, and take care everyone.